Say what?
Hello and welcome back. It's time for Say What, where we hear from those connected to the industry about what's going on in our world of electrical apprenticeship. And yes, this includes the topics that you've suggested to us. So please keep those coming. I'm your host, Cindy Sandifer, and I have friends today. I have friends, coworkers, colleagues, troublemakers. So I have Greg Greiner and Todd Stafford with us, because this is our last episode of 2024, and we're just taking some time with our coffee to sit back and look at this past year. So we've been doing a lot of talking, and I don't, mostly football and things like that. So we're going to change gears, guys, and chat about highlights from 2024. What are some things that stand out to you as far as things that went on this year? If you can remember back to January, I don't know.
You think about this year, what we've accomplished, what our team has put together, all the courseware, all the new CML rollouts, all the different capabilities that we've generated for local programs to use. It's pretty amazing, and I'm very happy and proud of that.
Yeah, I would agree that that was the big focus coming into the year was completing a whole bunch of courseware, and the fact that we did that was. What we got done was pretty amazing. We're still working on some things, but the stuff that we got done was amazing. I think, it was standards.
Yeah.
And courses.
Yeah. Yep.
Those were two big things. I think we also created a new 3-letter curse word, I feel like, and that's MFA.
And that one sounds like a curse word. Like some of them don't, but that one.
It does. It feels like you could just throw that at somebody.
MFA.
I don't, just saying.
Stop.
And this is what we do here. Yeah. Yeah. Like, no, that one was,
Brutal.
Right. And I get it. Like, I want to say that because when it happens to me anywhere else, I'm like, oh, stupid code, So I do understand both the frustration and the need.
Yeah,
right?
totally. I mean, multi-factor authentication, we have it in all of our lives now, in all of the apps that we play with. And the thing is like when we turned it on, it was massive, but we have it on all our other apps where you're waiting for that code, and you're really frustrated with it. When it happened to our own system and you're waiting for that code, you're like, there must be something broke with our system. And then you get into your own American Express, or you get into your own Hulu app or whatever, and you're like, why is this taking so long? Yes, brutal.
Yeah.
And all the changes we put on top of everything else, and that added to it more than anything else. Not that alone, but everything added to it, which is, looking back on the year, I was talking about courseware development at the beginning. We've quite a bit in the team put together, no doubt. But I guess you think about all the other extra factors that come into play with that, what makes it even that much harder to understand or grasp local programs, because they're trying to grasp with, I guess, complainers, users. That's what we all do. We got to handle complainers and users, not intentionally that way, but just the way it works out, you can. But I can understand that where they're at, but the issue comes into play that our industry, we're good about accepting who we are proudly, which means, okay, we're proud, we're going to let you know what we think every time we do, which is okay. It's okay. Yeah. But that's what we see here, a lot of it. But we're getting there. We're making progress in everything we do, no doubt.
Yeah. So a year of change, right? And I heard Marsha. When it's like standards, CML, MFA, like all the things. But it was a year of implementation, of change. And
a lot of change. Standards, big deal. I mean, that's something I mentioned as far as the big deal on it, is because really they're just a standard. They're just the governing documents about what's required of PPK, Registered Apprenticeship Program, and how they do that is still up to local programs. That's what we try to teach them. Still up to local program to make decisions how to implement policies and procedures. The standards don't tell them how to do that. That's the questions they make, and that's why it's not really included in my top 10. I guess you think about it. That's what we've done this year. That's routine for us. We do it. Should be.
Yeah. Agreed. And I think we probably need to do, honestly, I'm sitting here thinking like, we'll come back sometime in 2025 and do an episode on this stuff, because I know I probably like skipping ahead a little bit, but something that I feel like the two of you, I watched you do really well this year was explain, inform, be transparent. I noticed it, like I said, at various events that I was in attendance, to like help people understand who the ETA is, how we exist, why we exist, who governs us, if you will, right? And then
Right.
trying to help people. And I
Right.
feel like, man, that's so important, but I know everybody's not at everything. And so some people aren't hearing this information that would totally change how they, not to say you're taking away all frustrations, but it
Yeah,
would change.
but even the point of matter taking, hearing the discussion is one thing, but understanding how to apply it locally is a big difference. And that's something we got to work on our message to our local programs. So I use a common saying a lot of times that what do we at Electrical Training Line? We develop tools. We give tools and service to local programs to use. I'll never once come out and explain, all right, here's why we do what we do, for the reason. Here's what you should be doing locally where it's at. Leaving it up to local programs to decide that, and most of them do. A lot of them do. But our largest challenge is working with programs that have a training director changing over every 18 months, a year, something like that, changes over, continues. How do you get somebody up to speed at the time? By the time they learn the process, been through the cycle one time, they have to do it all over again. That's our challenge. We got to figure out a way to help that new training director a little more than what we're trying to do. That's why I'm proud about the new training director group we have as well. So.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure. That was a big thing. I think, thinking about the whole year, you think about all the events we went to since January, the ones in February with our regional, and then, March, and as you go through, and any TDA and NTI and all the IBW events and the NECA events, that it's communication. It's all that communication. And I think part of it is, we've learned what we need to say.
Yeah.
You don't always know when you first introduce something what the questions are going to be. You try to think of every single question you get because you think of all the questions you'd have, right? And so you try to address all of them. And I think, a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, when we're talking about the same thing, standards and CML and courses and all that stuff, 2 years ago we were presenting it a little more as a new idea. And then, then you start hearing how people, what they're understanding, what they're hearing, and you go, okay, I gotta change the way I'm talking about this. And so part of it was us. We needed to learn how to communicate differently, and cover the things like, okay, we weren't covering that really correctly,
Yeah.
and I think that's been a big improvement as far as our communication goes and things like that.
Yeah. And that I was kind of going to get into, like, what did you learn this year? Because I think if we stop learning, right, we stop growing, we stop being effective. And that's one thing I've noticed is, and it sounds like I'm biased, and I am to some extent, but it's like I get to see some of the inner workings where it's like we're sending a message this way, right, be it in person or through email or whatever, right? And it's like we hear the feedback and we're like, oh, we're not doing a very good job. Like, I feel like we're pretty open with ourselves and like, oh, that's not what we're trying to say at all. Or, yeah, we thought we were explaining it, but it's because we know it. We've been around since the inception. This is not helping that
Exactly.
audience or what
Delivering the
have you.
message with zero background is always a challenge because you're the one to help develop the process. How do you go back to that message? You can't. We have to get the feedback from the audience and the questions we're asked. That, as Greg said, that adapts what we present because that's what we learned we haven't been saying. We thought we were saying, but we're not somewhere along the way.
Right.
Which is good.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's a big learning point for us.
Yeah, definitely learning and taking that step back to go, okay, well, I tried that. A little bit of it worked. I'll keep trying that one. That didn't work. I'll stop doing that one, and just constantly evolving. And I think, having the opportunity to travel for the entire year and visit with programs and hear all of their feedback, whether it be IBW, NECA, or the training programs themselves, and kind of understanding how to better communicate. And I don't think we've nailed it yet. We're just
No,
going to keep
sometimes-
we're going to keep trying.
Sometimes it's three different messages all intertwined with each other. So how do you do that? Right.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll tell you, it makes me more, I'm going to say more patient. I'm not going to say patient. But when I'm
How can you
dealing,
be more patient if you're not patient?
well, I don't know.
That's what you're trying to tell me. That's what you're trying to tell me. You'll be more
I
patient.
don't know. We'll come back to that one like in another year.
Okay.
It gives me some patience. Does some work better than more? When I'm dealing with anything else, right? You name it. Like, I'm going into a store, I'm on a phone with customer service, recognizing, like, seeing what happens on our end of things. It's like, I don't know, it gives me more empathy, more compassion, more, because I'm like, I know what we hear and we get these frustrations. And I'm like, I don't want to be that for someone else. So it's, I don't know, I feel like
Totally.
that's one thing I've
Yeah.
kind of learned and grown with.
No, we can all do that, though. We can all do that. Me driving. It's like,
Ooh,
yeah,
I've
I'm a
been in the
patient
car
driver.
with
Yeah,
you
I know, right?
before.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding. It's so bad. It's so bad. No, I just appreciate that. Like, I feel like this idea of we've got to constantly change and learn and grow and adapt to, it's not just, and so I think it's important for the listeners, like, we're doing it too. It'd be easier for us to just keep doing the same thing.
Well, it would be a
right?
lot easier for us to do that, but we can't because if you think about it, who we support, IBW and NECA both, they have their messages coming back to the training centers from their local needs and wants and should be. That's their program. They should. So how we adapt our message to their needs as well. So that also changes their speeches, what they may have may change day to day. I mean, we got to change the feed. We got to.
Yeah.
We have to meet their needs, no doubt, which is always changing, challenging, and worth the effort too. We got to make it happen one way or the other. So.
Yeah. What was it it's a year ago when I know we all sat down and it was like, hey, we need to create this one page, which there's no way, but it was like let's create a document
One
of
page.
what we did, who we exist,
One
why
page
we
can
exist.
turn into 8.
Well, it was a flip,
good, yeah,
flip
good.
book.
It had pictures.
It had pictures. It was, yeah.
Put it on one small font, one page.
There was no coloring though. Like, we should have added that.
That would have been
But
smart.
it was so cool, like, once that was developed, and Greg, kudos, like, for the work that you did on that. But it's like, here's the top 10 things, right, that the ETA does. This is why we exist. This is what we do for the industry. And it was one of those where I'm like, oh, you think you have a clue, but you don't. And I think that was something this year that was, like, really good. Like, I learned from that.
I think it'd be pretty amazing for any organization, any JATC, any local union, contractor, region, like, sit down and just list out every single thing every project, every concept that you are working on, like, actively trying to affect. And that's what that project was like listing out every single thing, looking at every single staff employee and going, what all of the things are they working on? And it was incredible. It was an incredible thing. To get it down to 8 pages with pictures.
That was pretty impressive.
Was
I was impressed.
a workout,
yeah.
and I will say AI was
Yes.
huge, and that's that's something
One of the
big
tools.
that is huge for this year, for next year. Just how much that's evolving and helping us.
Yeah, there's a learning thing, right? We're talking about what do we learn? Like, I know for me, it's like I learned more. I'm not arrived, but like how to use AI for what I do, not losing my voice, right? Not losing who I am in it, but using it as a tool so I'm not struggling, like
Right.
working for hours on something that, man, it can give me a thought or kind of like help me condense something. And
You kind of see that ride with people that start to embrace it, where they do lose themselves for a moment.
yes.
And because it's like what you see or what you read or what you've just created is something you're like, wow, that is better than anything I would have ever touched. and you're like, hey, let me try to present that as me. And then people are
look
like,
at us and
"Daddy,
that's AI
dude."
generated.
Yeah, you ain't selling that. And so, yeah, you see that, and then you see people evolve to trying to understand what part of that they can own, and really then you see like the coolness that's coming from that.
And take away
more.
the fear,
Yeah,
right? Like,
take away the
it's
fear
like,
and more.
yeah.
That's a tool that we can continue to let evolve within our workplace and our industry as well. It's going to benefit us in many, many ways, and we haven't seen the full impact yet. What all we can do with it, no
Right,
doubt. No
right.
doubt.
Okay, so what are you most proud of this year? And it doesn't just have to be us. Like, it could be industry, it could be what have you. but-
52,000 plus apprentices. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Have that many in our program, which are really our industry begging for. I mean, what we do, the more we can get in our local programs meeting that need, I guess we're proud of that more than anything else. Yeah, that's not us directly, but yeah, we service that. That's who we service,
Yeah.
those groups. And we got that many, that's a great point for us.
Yeah, 52,000. That's a lot.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, just and so I think the same way, growth. But like thinking of our staff, and I kind of think of it internally right away is just the growth that we've had on staff. How people have stepped into roles, people have embraced opportunity. We've had people change positions, change roles. We've had people step into the they've learned how to use the tools that they were asked, and then evolve them to the point that I went from an area where I was trying to explain here's where we want to go to now I'm listening to them going, oh, you are incredible. Okay, I'm learning from you now, and I've seen that a bunch. So growth within our staff has been something. It's been awesome to watch.
Yeah, and growth, like, obviously encompass so much, right?
Height
I knew,
growth or height
like,
growth.
I almost.
Yeah, there's
You
some
open
things
the door,
that
don't open the
that
door.
aren't
No,
happening.
no, something's
There's
not gonna grow.
growth that's
Oh,
not
I
happening.
so almost skipped it, but I'm not. I'm brave and courageous, and I will continue on. That's growth. But it's like this different. I can't now. I'm so done. This different, the mental growth. The ability to open ourselves up again, the transparency, right? That's growth because you feel like, ooh, I'm opening up to like let people in, and that's scary. So seeing that within the staff, I've a couple of things I got to do this year that I wouldn't normally be involved in, and so getting to see staff do what they do, like because usually we're having these, if you will, superficial moments where I'm not really seeing their work. Like I'm getting to know them, which is I'd prefer that anyway most of the time, but to see them work, I'm like, oh my gosh, like we go from like our just cordial interactions to I'm watching you lead this project or manage something, and I'm like, oh, wow.
Greg
So,
mentioned it. Pulling the curtain back and seeing how the staff operates, pretty amazing, no doubt. It's been that way for several years now. It's getting better every year. Although you keep you look like you might have reached a plateau where we're at, but you don't see it. It's still on an exponential curve going up, which is outstanding.
Yeah. And seeing it in like training directors and instructors, like getting this moment to get to know them or you all, and seeing that, like, wow, I didn't know you did all that, or I didn't know you were like so invested, so passionate. I think that's been huge. And for me, I mean, I know like
Yeah,
just
I don't know how we can advertise for our staff outside, the JHCs
Yeah.
locally where they're at, and the local training director, because, you want to advertise for a training director position when everybody get contact. I'd be, how do you find a new training director? Well, tell the guy he's going to work for 80 hours, 40 hours pay. Never going to get any recommendation. Oh, by the way, everybody's screaming, holler at you, don't like what you're doing. Get all that out of the way. But how do you do that? But at the same time, look at what they managed to accomplish.
yes,
All the training directors local. That's
Right.
being proud of somebody. That group there is not our responsibility, not affiliated with it. You got to respect that group and be proud of who they are, no
Yeah.
doubt.
I was trying to picture that on LinkedIn. Like, here is we're looking for someone
Oh,
who
yeah.
doesn't mind getting yelled at, and this is like,
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Working for
I'm in.
half pay, no overtime pay either, by the way.
Right.
No.
I think it's like really pretty bullets instead of maybe bullet stars or something. You got to make it look pretty because the
it's
words
not-
are going to read awful.
Yeah.
it's not going to be pretty, but which is, that makes me think of NTI this year, the training director track that I give huge props to Tina. I know it wasn't just her, and she would say that, so I'm saying that for her. But just what that did, I've only heard really positive feedback. There's been constructive things like, hey, here's what we can do to make this even better. But man, seeing that, like them having their own group at NTI, I think
That's
is
pretty exciting. Pretty exciting to see that group. And that came as a direct result and feedback that we received from our training directors in a survey we did, which is, we do use that information sometimes. We do actually use it. It's not just asking for no reason, but we do use it. That's where that came from. And we're something sorely needed and something we should have been able to see without it, but yet it's pretty clear trying to do. And we'll continue to grow. We'll continue that pathway to grow to help out our training directors and new instructors as well, whatever we can do.
Yeah. Yeah. And I can't help, but I feel like there's been something going on the past few years, and a training director had emailed about this, but just feeling this connection. And I know not everybody feels it. Like, I understand we're not all like kumbaya around a fire roasting, marshmallows or whatever, but it just, I felt this more connection, and especially with like our focus on mental well-being. I've seen such, and it's not just us, the IBW, NECA, local unions, contractors, JTCs, like there's been this idea, I think, that everybody's opening up to, it's growth, right? Is saying, if we're not taking care of the whole person, right? If we're not seeing people as people, it doesn't matter what kind of electrical worker they are.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And that's been, to me, just such a positive thing that I've seen.
And a lot of people, our industry in particular, a lot of times don't understand as far as the need why we need to have the mental health awareness in our industry involves. But statistics show outside of it. But the sheer fact, if you don't understand why we're doing it, it's probably why we need to do it.
Yeah.
Because I mean, that in itself, if you don't see the big picture and see that idea, which is what hurts a person that needs the help.
Yes.
So if you don't see that, it's probably why we need to do it. It's a good example why. So.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, it's huge. Okay, so closing thoughts, season's greetings to anything you all want to share as we wrap up.
Yeah, well, holiday seasons are here, no doubt. Enjoy the time with your family, whatever you have to do, no doubt about that if you can. Never take that for granted. Enjoy the time while you can, while you have it, and just happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, everything with it.
I was
right?
like, yeah,
all
like
all up together.
Yeah, all of them. All of them. And
Lots of-
that's Todd hit it. The rest, get some R&R, take some time, reflect, look at the things you did great, and recognize that and own it. Own the things that you did great. Be proud of yourself for that. If the things that didn't work out, whatever, you got another chance tomorrow. You got another chance this afternoon, whatever. But really take the time to know that there were things that happened that were good. There's something that happened that was good.
We moved the mark. We moved the mark this past year. You said we moved the mark, which is
And
good.
as an industry is incredible. But personally, please take time for yourself and with your family. And happy holidays and Merry Christmas and all of them.
Yeah, celebrate it all. But you all just said relax, R&R. Like, are you? I'm assuming the two of you are also going to do this, or are you like
Try.
do as I say,
We're
not
gonna
as
try.
I do?
Well, probably a lot of that's involved, but
Yeah.
we'll try. We'll do something.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I think we can pull sound bites,
Yeah.
and like I can just send this to you throughout like the next few weeks.
You probably could do that. It probably would help. Probably would help a little bit. But at the
Yeah.
same time, I don't know.
Reminder: you set
Some
here's your own
things,
voice.
as Greg tells us quite often, there'll be a guy log in there at the Miss System 2:30 a.m. Christmas morning. So it's going to happen.
Right.
Somebody will be there for
right,
support if something goes up. So it's going to happen.
Right. Yeah.
Somebody's going to have that quiz they've got to work on,
Yeah.
and they've just got to work on it at that moment,
Right.
and we'll be there. We'll
What
be
is
there.
that team? Like, oh my gosh, we had a name
We'll
for
be
the
there.
team. It's changed, but it's like, yeah, there's a team of you.
It's
that,
our zombie apocalypse team.
Yes.
is what
Yes.
we are.
That's it,
And
yeah.
that's what when we have to get together, and there's some times that are shocking when we have to get together. But we're there,
Right.
and they're there for sure.
Yeah. Now all of a sudden I'm thinking like Walking Dead or all these things, like, well, at least I know who to go to.
You just don't stop when that happens. That's what it means.
Yeah.
That's why zombie. You just don't stop. You got to go.
No, you
Yeah.
don't. But we are not, let's just make this clear, we're not anticipating a zombie
No.
apocalypse.
No, no.
We are not.
We
We're
are
not
not.
planning for one.
No.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
I do have. I keep a board on the number of days that we haven't had an incident. Right, it increments every day, and
It's been 16 months since our last accident. Keep that up
Yeah.
on the board.
Yes.
That's what's
Yeah.
silly to
Yeah.
walk.
We do that for staff too, but we won't talk about that on here. Like, it's been excellent. Yeah. No, but that one's secret. That one we will not be transparent
I
about.
don't know about that one.
I don't either.
Because it's about the two of you.
Oh, okay.
Fair.
It's been this many days
Fair enough.
since. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh my
super
goodness. Yeah. So as we close out, we want to ensure that you, the listeners, know how much we appreciate you. Whatever your role, whatever you do, we're just grateful, and it's our pleasure, it's our privilege to serve our industry. We all love it. Even those that didn't go through the apprenticeship or have those experiences, I can tell you we love it, and serving you, right? It's a privilege to serve,
we do.
and we do this for you. We're here for you. We've said it, Christmas morning, like if it's not emergency, look, you're not getting a response, but we're here, right? For that person that needs us when they need us. And we want to take good care of you. We want you to take good care of you, take care of each other. During this holiday season, it's been said, we'll say it again, please take a moment to rest, to restore your mind, restore your body. Take time to think about 3 things that you're grateful for. So pick 3 things. They don't have to be massive things, right? 3 things you're grateful for, and allow that gratefulness to fill you. And please help us keep this, Say What, the podcast, centered on what you want. Like, there's no point in us doing it if it's not something you enjoy. So share the topics that you think we should be chatting about. If you want to join as a guest, please reach out. Use email saywhat, SAYWATT, at electricaltrainingalliance.org. Our next episode is coming in 2025 in January, and we're super excited. We're super excited to continue doing this incredible work that we get to do with you in this coming year. Until then, stay connected with us through our newsletters, blog posts. Be sure to follow us on social media. Subscribe to the podcast because, we're fun. Tell someone about it. Will be even more fun if you do. Yeah. Anyway, you know what I'm saying. Stay powered up, stay energized, stay powered up, stay connected, and we will see you next time. Happy holidays, everyone.
Yeah.
Say what?